Turn now to Marc Ross, an expert in business development and trade. He's the founder and partner with Caracal Global, a policy consulting firm. Marc, thanks for being on the program. Let me begin where Jim left off. These public hearings going on in Washington, the fact, first of all, that they're not televised, how interesting is that? What does that tell you? And also, do these kinds of hearings ever really accomplish anything? I mean, is this administration going to listen to people who are going to say, don't do this? Our businesses are going to be hurt by tariffs.
First off, I wouldn't read too much into them being not televised. It's probably more to do with lack of technology than it does transparency. All the comments are publicly available, and I've read over 2,700 different organizations have submitted comments, so they're all publicly available. Yeah, they do work. I mean, we have a system of government where you're allowed to petition the people running the show and say, this is good, this is bad.
But you also have a president who kind of makes up his own mind about how things are going to be done and doesn't really listen to a whole lot of people. Let's be honest.
No, this is true. We have a very interesting situation where we have a president who's running a very large government, who's used to operating in a certain way, and is causing a bit of conflict and confusion.
So let's talk about how these countries stand on trade and how big the gap is. Terry Branstad, U.S. ambassador to China, said the U.S. and China are still very far apart on trade disputes. Do you agree? And what area do you think they're far apart on?
I think it depends what you define trade as. I mean, exporting products in and out of ports, putting stuff in boxes, shipping it across the ocean, there's definitely going to be a gap. But more and more American companies, as you know, are investing in China. They're actually opening facilities, opening plants, opening R&D facilities to be close to Chinese customers. That isn't measured in the trade deficit. We almost in some ways have a math problem in how we define trade. I mean, for me and the companies I work with, we're much more interested in getting into the market, setting up operations in China, as opposed to shipping goods and services across the Pacific. That's much more interesting.
And what do you make of this bizarre ZTE thing? Is there a clarity? Is there a strategy? Jim was talking about it. First, very tough, punitive U.S. measures, then a reversal with President tweeting the punishment was maybe too harsh, and this is what he had to say. On Sunday, ZTE was losing too many jobs in China as a result of U.S. sanctions. He said he was working with Chinese President Xi Jinping to find a solution. Wow, what a change in tone.
Speechless was the first word that came to mind. It was quite a way to start my Sunday morning as I was enjoying coffee. To see this tweet, frankly, it's unprecedented, and it really sets a bad precedent. Not so much that there's a dispute between U.S. and China. I mean, even if we come to some resolution in the short term here, there's always going to be disagreements between countries on how you do commerce. But the fact is, the rule of law has really been challenged here. ZTE violated these sanctions. They agreed to these sanctions, they violated them, and to have the president just arbitrarily, transactionally, just change his mind on that and upend rule of law, it's a very dangerous precedent.
Even Republican lawmakers like Marco Rubio criticized Trump's move, saying the U.S. is pretty much caving in to China.
I don't know the full story. I mean, for me, caving in seems a little hot rhetoric. I'm sure Senator Rubio has other aspirations.
I'm not sure if that was the exact word, but something along those lines.
For me, what's more dangerous is the rule of law. I mean, you know, what is really happening with the U.S.-China relationship is politics is overwhelming the relationship, overwhelming the trade discussions, and that's never good. At the end of the day, businesses want to know what are the rules to operate in the global commerce. If you have politicians arbitrarily changing them, it doesn't help situations. And you don't have a unified message coming out of the White House. And frankly, we haven't heard anything from the Chinese. Like, we have no idea what they're committed to opening up or how they're going to let more foreign companies into the market. It's not a great time, I think, on either side of the Pacific, frankly.
And do you believe these two sides will reach some kind of agreement, some kind of compromise, and there will not be a full-blown trade war?
I've never thought we were really in a full-blown trade war. I think that, too, is like hot rhetoric. It sells clicks and it makes things interesting. But the fact is both countries are talking. But, yeah, there'll be some resolution. The problem is, what is in that resolution? What is the deal? What are we agreeing to? I think that's the real challenge. And I think a lot of businesses, frankly, on both sides of the Pacific, are really worried that these politicians, and at the end of the day, they are politicians. They want to keep people happy. They're going to agree on stuff that really is a short-term solution to a long-term problem.
Marc Ross, thank you so much.